Want an even more local trip on North Carolina 42? Come on, let's go! Alright everyone, today I'm doing North Carolina 42 in response to Quartermunch 437's birthday video for me on North Carolina 42. Basically, I'm going to be showing you all the stuff that he missed, like local stuff here on North Carolina 42. Because I live really close to the highway and I've been on it many times. So it's going to be fun showing you all the local stuff here on this highway, so let's get started. But first, you've been watching TheDerpHog, where I make all sorts of highway content based off of random topics. If you've been enjoying my content, be sure to hit that like button, and if you've been really enjoying it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as it really helps out a ton. Also, I am open to extra requests for future videos. If you want to check out all the future highways, be sure to read in the description below as where I put them, and if you have any extra requests for those, please put them down in the comment section below and I'll make sure to get it out to you. So let's get started with the highway. Here's the map of North Carolina 42 as it runs from Interstate 73 and 74 in Asheboro and goes all the way over to North Carolina 45 in Colerain. So with that, we're going to be talking about eastbound North Carolina 42. So we begin here on Interstate 73 and 74 and US 220. We have a left exit for North Carolina 42, which is signed east for Asheboro. And once we go into North Carolina 42 itself, we have our first reassurance shield. And here's one of our first major intersections. It's US 64 Business, which was US 64 up until a few years ago. And we're also meeting North Carolina Highway 49 here. Also, if you take a left on this road here, it'll actually take you over to Zoo Parkway, which takes you down to the North Carolina Zoo. Or you can stay straight on 42 and hit US 64 proper, which also takes you over to the North Carolina Zoo. In our first mileage sign, we get Bennett on the bottom line at 22 miles away. I don't like that. I'd actually rather see Sanford there. Now we're moving US 64 proper, which gets good control cities of Siler City and Lexington. The reason Lexington is on there is because you meet Interstates 285 and US 70 and 29, and Siler City is where you meet US 421, and it's actually a pretty sizable town. Now we're moving North Carolina Highway 22, and we're signed east for Bennett. No, that should be either Sanford or Carthage, not Bennett. Now we're meeting North Carolina Highway 902, which is signed east for Bear Creek. No, that should be Pittsboro, because North Carolina 902 takes you over to US 15 and 501, which takes you into Pittsboro, so sign Pittsboro for 902. Ugh. Here's where North Carolina 42 splits off from North Carolina 22, and we're signed for Sanford, while 22 is signed for Carthage, which are great choices. And our next mileage time, we get Clayton on the bottom line at 73 miles away. Yes, I know this is a pretty good mileage sign, but I'd rather see like a 3-liner here because Sanford, Fuquay, and Clayton are all pretty sizable towns, and should all 3 be mentioned on this mileage sign. Here in Sanford, we're meeting just 1 and the 15501. And sadly, we don't have any control cities for these 3 highways. We just get a directional sign. Here in downtown Sanford, we're meeting US 421 Business and North Carolina Highway 87 Business. But if we head straight here, we'll actually pass by the Sanford Antique Mall, which is a place that I recommend you guys visiting if you ever like antique shopping or like antiques in general. It's a pretty big place. And once we're out of downtown Sanford, we're meeting North Carolina Highway 78, which is just a Sanford-only highway. And we're going to be turning right here, and at the same intersection, we pass right next to the Sheets, which is pretty cool. In our next mileage time, we get Fuquay on the bottom line at 27 miles away, which is a great choice. And on our way towards Fuquay, we're actually meeting US 421 proper and North Carolina 87 proper. And on 421 and 87 itself, we're signed east for Fuquay, which is awesome. But at this directional sign here, we're signed east for Corinth. No, that should be Fuquay. As you can see here, this is North Carolina 42 crossing over the Cape Fear River and into Chatham County, where we sadly have no major intersections. So here outside of Corinth, North Carolina, we get a mileage sign still with Fuquay on the bottom line at 15 miles away. And this is actually one of my own pictures, and I actually have a story about it. So I was traveling back from Sanford one day, and I was on the wrong side of the car when we were passing by this mileage sign. So I had to quickly reach over and take a picture of it, so that's why it's like cropped out and stuff and not like an actual full mileage sign. And on our way to Fuquay, we're actually passing right by Castle Holt Road, which actually takes you into Holly Springs. And here's Piney Grove Wilbon Road, which actually takes you into Holly Springs too, and it also takes you over to US 401, which eventually takes you down to Willington and Fayetteville. And now we're entering into Fuquay itself. And right before the Judd Parkway intersection, we actually get a mention of 2 US 401. So in case if you miss Piney Grove Wilbon Road, you can take Judd Parkway here. And here's the actual Judd Parkway intersection. And the northwest Judd Parkway intersection is actually brand new. It literally opened like a couple of years ago. Before that, Judd Parkway actually used to end here at North Carolina 42. So now we're in US Highway 401 and US 401 and North Carolina 42 have a currency with each other as we're heading northeast out of town. And as we're heading northeast, we actually pass right by Wade Nash Road, and this is one of the pictures that Cornermon showed in his video. The reason he showed it is because of this train tracks here. But this here is actually Wade Nash Road, which actually takes you over to Action Park, which has a couple of tennis courts and baseball fields. And Wade Nash Road also takes you over to North Carolina 55 if you don't want to go on 42 or 401. On 42 and 401, we actually pass right next to the Fuquay Water Tower. And now we're in North Carolina 55, where it's signed west for Apex and Durham. North Carolina 55 East is going to be joining with us as we head towards Raleigh. Here's any restaurants that we pass by here in Fuquay, and it's called Abbey Road Tavern and Grill. And this here is actually based on the Beatles, so if you like Beatles stuff or the band Beatles, then I recommend checking out this restaurant. Now we're meeting the northern meaning of Judd Parkway. And as we're heading out of town, we actually pass right next to a treat-only Dairy Queen, sadly, and not a full Dairy Queen. We also pass right next to a Waffle House, and I've not been to a Waffle House in like 15 years. We also pass right next by to a Cookout, which is actually a very yummy place. So if you want to get a burger and a drink from Cookout and then walk across the street to the Dairy Queen, then you're more than gladly welcome to. Here's one of my own pictures once again, and we're now splitting off from US Highway 401 as 401 heads into Raleigh. And we're going to be heading east towards Clayton and Wilson. Here's where 42 splits off from North Carolina 55 as North Carolina 55 heads south towards Angier and Dunn, and we're heading east towards Willow Springs and Clayton. And we get Willow Springs and Clayton on the bottom line at 19 miles away, and Willow Springs is at 2. And there's really nothing here in Willow Springs. This is literally it. Just 2 schools, nothing else. And on our way to Clayton, we actually passed by Porter Farms, which I've actually been to. I went strawberry picking here like a couple of years ago, which was awesome. And from here till the US 70 business split, we're now on future North Carolina Highway 36. The reason that they're going to be changing 42 to 36 is because of Interstate 42, which is currently being worked on. And North Carolina DOT doesn't want to confuse drivers with North Carolina 42 and Interstate 42. So they gave this highway the number that they proposed for Interstate 42, which was Interstate 36. Also, this is the map of future North Carolina 36. It's basically going to follow current North Carolina 42 all the way up to Interstate 42, and then join Interstate 42 for a short time, and then connect back to 42 and US 70 business. And here's Interstate 40 itself, and we have Raleigh as our westbound city, which is awesome, and no comment for eastbound 40. Now remain future Interstate 42 or current US 70, and it's signed for Garner and Smithfield. Now we're going to be joining with US 70 Business, and US 70 Business and current 42 are signed for Wilson. And this is where your future North Carolina 36 is going to be ending, and North Carolina 42 is going to be picking back up as it heads east towards Wilson. In fact, we get our next mileage time, we get Wilson on the top line at 34 miles away, and Pine Tops on the bottom line at 50 miles away. No, I'd rather see Tarboro on there instead of Pine Tops, because Pine Tops is only a 1,000 per town, and Tarboro is way bigger and way more well known. Now we're in North Carolina 222, which is a highway that I've been on. I actually took North Carolina 42 to 222 to go to a Christmas lights place called Lights on the Farm. And it's a cool place that I recommend checking out. I'm reading Interstate 95, which gets signed for Rocky Mount and Smithfield. I'd rather see Richmond for northbound 95 and Fayetteville for southbound 95, because those two cities are way bigger than Rocky Mount and Smithfield. So why aren't they signed here? And once we meet Interstates 587, 795, and US 264, these three highways actually get the control cities of Raleigh and Greenville. So if NC DOT can sign 3-digit interstates well, then why can't they do it on their 2-digit interstates? Sometimes I just don't get this state DOT. Now I mean US 264 alternate and US 264 alternate and 42 kind of form a bypass around downtown Wilson. Now I mean North Carolina 58 and North Carolina 58 and 42 have a congruency with each other. And you can turn left here on North Carolina 58 North, which actually takes you up to US Highway 64. Now we're splitting off from North Carolina 58 as 42 heads east towards Ahoskie and Pine Tops, and 58 actually takes you all the way down to the coastline along with Emerald Isle and Atlantic Beach, which are pretty cool places because I've actually been to both of those places. And now remain US Highway 301 on the outskirts of Wilson, and let's see what 42 is signed on 301. Pine Tops? No, that should be Ahoskie or Tarboro, not Pine Tops. And once we leave Wilson, we get Tarboro on the bottom line at 17 miles away, which is awesome. And now remain North Carolina Highway 43, and NC DOT does not tell you here that 43 South is going to be found with 42 East. Instead, they just tell you that if you want to get to North Carolina 43 North, turn right here. Please tell us that 43 South is going to be found with us, please. Now we're meeting US Highway 258, which takes you up to US 64 and Tarboro. And here is where you get the Interstate 99 treatment, where you just get Old Sparta at 2 miles away and Conto at 8 miles away. These are both really small places. Why is it being signed on North Carolina 42? Why? Here is North Carolina 33, and once we leave North Carolina 33, we get Oak City. That's even worse. That should be Greenville from here, not Oak City. And outside of Conto, we're meeting US 64 for the second time, which gets Tarboro and Williamston. And these are, again, good control cities for US 64. And I mean North Carolina Highway 11, which gets signed south for Bethel. No, that should be Greenville, not Bethel. And Oak City should be replaced with Ahoskie. Here is North Carolina 42 splitting off from North Carolina Highway 11. And we get our next mileage time, and we get Coleraine on the bottom line at 19 miles away. Honestly, this is an okay milestone because we get mention of Ahoskie, and that Coleraine is where North Carolina 42 ends, so this is okay, but not the best mileage time ever. Now we're meeting US Highway 13 here in Ahoskie, and 13, 42, and 561 all have a congruency with each other. And once we leave Ahoskie, North Carolina 42 is splitting off from US 13. and sign east for Powellsville. Even though Powellsville is bigger than Coleraine by like 70 people, that should still be Coleraine because that's the eastern terminus of North Carolina 42. Here is the eastern terminus of North Carolina 42 at North Carolina 45 here in Coleraine. So we're going to be turning around and doing westbound North Carolina 42. So we begin here on North Carolina 45 where we get a directional sign and we get a host key for westbound 42, which is awesome. And here's our first reassurance seal on North Carolina 42 west. And here's our first mileage time. We get a host key on the bottom line at 15 miles away, which is awesome. And now we're joining back up to US Highway 13, and US 13 and 42 have a concurrency with each other. And here's where US 42 splits off from US Highway 13. And now we're reuniting with North Carolina Highway 11. And our first mileage time after a reunion, we get, again, Oak City on the bottom line at 23 miles away. No, that should be Oak City in Greenville, or Oak City in Tarboro. Not Lewiston, Woodville, and Oak City. No one's even heard of these places. And once we leave Lewiston, Woodville, we get Oak City on the top line, which it should have been at that last mileage sign, and Greenville, which is on North Carolina 11. So this is a good mileage sign. Now we're slowing off from North Carolina Highway 11, and 42 is signed west for Wilson. Let's see if it sticks up here. But first we're being US 64 for the first time, and it still gets the great control cities of Williamston and Tarboro. Then we're being US Highway 64 alternate, and we're signed east-west for Conto. We're already in Conto, that should be Wilson. Where is Wilson, NC Dot? Sign Wilson! And once we leave Conto, we get Wilson on the top line at 28 miles away, which is awesome. And here outside of Pine Tops, we're meeting with North Carolina 43, and 43 and 42 have a concurrency with each other here. Here I'm meeting with the US Highway 258. And now we're meeting US Highway 301 outside of Wilson, as North Carolina 43 left us in Pine Tops. And US 301 North is signed for Rocky Mount, and we're signed west for Wilson, which are good choices. Sadly, we don't know what US 301 South is signed for here. Now we're reuniting with North Carolina 58, and 58 and 42 have a bypass concurrency as we head around town. And once we leave the greater Wilson area, we're meeting Interstate 587 and 795 and US 264. And after that, we're meeting Interstate 95 once again, which just gets the bad control cities of Smithfield and Rocky Mount. Again, that should be Fayetteville and Richmond. And once we leave Interstate 95, we get another mileage sign, and we get Fuquay on the bottom at 45 miles away, which is awesome. So this is where we turn back into future North Carolina 36, and we're actually retaking future North Carolina 36's route here. So future North Carolina 36 is actually going to be staying straight here, and we're actually being on this secondary route here, and it's going to take us over to future Interstate 42, or this is currently at Interstate 70, where it's signed for Smithfield and Selma and Gardner. But once Interstate 42 becomes a thing, this is why I think the control cities for 42 should be Morehead City and Raleigh. I bet you 100% that NC Dot is not going to change it to those, and is just going to keep it current US 70s. And this is where future North Carolina 36 is going to be exiting off of future Interstate 42. And currently this is North Carolina 42, which gets good control cities of Clay and Fuquay. And this is where future North Carolina 36 is going to be meeting Interstate 40 at this diverging diamond interchange here. And this is where future North Carolina 36 is going to be ending, and this is where we're going to be, current North Carolina 42 is going to be picking back up just west of this North Carolina 50 intersection here. And shortly later, we're entering back into Wake County, where Fuquay is located. And once we get to Fuquay, we're reuniting with North Carolina Highway 55. And this is where North Carolina 55 and 42 join US 401 as we head back into Fuquay. And this here is Sunset Lake Road, which actually takes you over to Holly Springs. And this is where 55 splits off from North Carolina Highway 42, and this is one of my own pictures. I took this picture on our way back from like picking up food like a couple months ago, so that's why it's at night. And this is where 401 splits off from North Carolina 42, as 42 is signed west for Sanford, and 401 is signed south for Fayetteville, which are great choices. And this is our next mileage sign once we split off from US 401, and we just get Sanford at 27 miles away, which I think is a good instance of a one-line mileage sign. Now, if this was like Corinth or Duncan, then yeah, I would want the sign changed 100%. But since it's Sanford, this is awesome. As we're exiting out of town, we meet Judd Parkway once again, and we also get our 2 US 401 shield. And this here is actually the county store that's at the Phelps West and North Carolina 42 junction, which I can literally walk to, because it's only a 15-minute walk from my house. But we're actually going to be taking Phelps West Road here. And once we end at Phelps West, we end here at Piney Grove Wilbon Road, where we're going to be taking a left here, as we're going to head back towards North Carolina Highway 42. And honestly, I've been on this road many times, and it's actually a pretty cool drive as you drive through these farm fields here. And this is where Piney Grove meets North Carolina 42, and since this is a secondary or state route and not like an actual North Carolina highway, we don't get any control cities for 42, which I wish we would. And as we're heading back towards Sanford, we're crossing over the Cape Fear River once again. And now we're meeting US 421 and North Carolina 87 once again, which actually takes us over to US 1. And here in downtown Sanford, we're actually going to be joining with US 421 Business. This is not actual US 421. US 421 bypasses the town of Sanford, while 421 Business goes into the town. Also remain North Carolina 78 once again, and this is my own picture of this junction. Here is a cool here's one of my own pictures here in downtown Sanford, and it's a picture of US 1 Business. And this is a place that I actually went to here in Sanford. It's called the Fairview Dairy Bar. It's not actually overpriced. It's actually like, I'd say about $10, $11 a person. So it's actually a really nice place if you want to come here and have like an actual like diner experience. Now remaining the 15501 in US 1 once again, and signed for Southern Pines and Raleigh. Why wasn't this on eastbound 42? NC Dot? Why? Now we're reuniting with North Carolina Highway 22, and 22 and 42 have a concurrency with each other. And after splitting off from North Carolina 22 and 42, we're actually meeting US 64 for the second time, and like the first time it actually gets good control cities once again. Here are meeting US 64 Business and North Carolina Highway 49. And it's signed for Raleigh, Ramseur, Siler City, and Lexington. Lexington is a good choice here, but honestly, you can just throw away that Ramseur and Siler City and just do Raleigh, or have Raleigh and Siler City on there. Because there's no need for Ramseur on there, because that's where North Carolina 22 goes. And if people wanted to go to Ramseur, they would have just taken North Carolina 22 instead. So Ramseur here is useless, so replace Ramseur with that Raleigh right over there. Okay. Also, we're going to be turning onto US 64 and North Carolina 49 here. And here's where US 64 and North Carolina 49 meets the Zoo Parkway Junction. And now we're reading US 220 Business, and we're going to be turning onto US 220 Business South here. And now we're reuniting with current North Carolina Highway 42, which just gets to Interstate 73, 74, and actual 220. We're meeting Interstates 73, 74, and US 220. And all three of those highways are signed north for Greensboro, which is a good choice, because Greensboro is a major city here in North Carolina. And all three of those highways are signed south for Rockingham. Do you know what I think should be in place of Rockingham? Columbia, South Carolina, because that's the next major city that's south of here. And plus US 220 dead ends into US 1 and US 1 goes to Columbia. So I think Columbia should be signed there instead of Rockingham. And once we pass the 7374 and US 220 junction, we have no end shield for North Carolina 42 West, sadly, and it just turns into this surface street here. So we're going to be ending North Carolina 42 and talking about, the places you'll go on North Carolina 42. Because I've actually been on a majority of North Carolina 42, and I'd love to recommend some of the places that you should visit along this highway. So these are all the places that you guys should visit on North Carolina 42. You should first visit downtown Asheboro, then the North Carolina Zoo, which I've actually been to, and I've also been to downtown Sanford and the Fairview Dairy Bar, and the Sanford Antique Mall and downtown Fuquay, along with the various restaurants here in Fuquay, and Porter Farms, and actually I've also been on to Lights on the Noose, which is a farm that does Christmas lights outside of Clayton, and then Lights on the Farm is a Christmas light place that is outside of Clayton as well. So those are a few places that you should visit on North Carolina 42, and that ends North Carolina 42. Thank y'all so much for watching this video on North Carolina Highway 42. I hope you enjoyed learning about another local route of mine. And I'll actually be returning to my regularly scheduled program of US Highway 20, which US 20 Midwestern will be coming out next Monday at 8 a.m. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all when we get to US 20 Midwestern.